Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel Moxie DIY in Java. I'm Michelle. Today's video is going to be inspired by Fantasycore aesthetic. So keep watching and we'll get into that in a little bit. In the meantime, grab your cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and join me. Okay, to start this DIY, we're going to grab these mini Barbie figures. Now, I grabbed two that looked to me like they could be flying. You can obviously grab whichever ones you prefer, but I did two, and I'm going to show you how to make one of them. All I'm doing here is removing her from her stand, and I'm not too worried about her feet because they will be covered. And we're going to be using the irises and these petunias and the butterflies off of this onion grass. Now, you can use any butterflies that you want. These were the only ones I could find in my area, and we're going to use these to create the fairy wings. So all I'm doing is trimming off the antenna and the lower part of the butterfly's body, and we're going to attach this along her spine. I do end up taking these wings off later because I realized that I want to paint her bodice, but I put them on in the exact same way later on. Now for her skirt, we're going to use a larger petunia and a smaller one, and to create that we're just going to remove the center, and this will create a really pretty ruffled effect for her skirt. Now I decided her bodice needed to match the green of that petunia, so I'm going to be using Lime Green by Cream Coat, I think that's the name of it, Ceramic Coat, and I'm just going to brush it on where her bodice already is, and I'm also going to apply it to her tennis racket along with these other green colors to create a camouflaged look for once I put leaves on her racket. So what we're going to do is sandwich the racket between these fern fronds. Using the same lime green, we're going to apply that to her wings. Now on the back side, we're going to apply the fern leaves individually, but we're going to apply them so that way they look like they are a part of that fern frond. So rather than having them face outward, we're going to have the front face inward. I hope that makes sense. Every fairy needs some sparkle, so we're going to use these pieces of some leftover poinsettias to go over the tops of her wings. And now using my favorite metallic gold by Folk Art, we're going to put a little bit of gold in her hair. And I go through the exact same process with the second fairy as well. So here she is. I don't know, should we call her Petunia or Fern? And then here's the second one, which I have called Dewdrop, and I made little dewdrops in her hands with some hot glue. As I mentioned earlier, this is a playlist that is based on the Fantasycore aesthetic, and it is hosted by Annie of Indiana Jones. And basically, this is a fantasy, Celtic, Irish spring free-for-all is what Annie said. So we are going to be doing this in lieu of standard St. Patrick's Day theme. So we're still including leprechauns and fairies and all that kind of stuff, but we're just doing it in a different vein. So be sure to check out the playlist because we're all going to have different ideas of what is included in this aesthetic. If you caught the Dark Academia playlist, both Annie and Nancy made book nooks, and I was so inspired I decided I would make one for this aesthetic. So all I'm doing is I'm taking an old shipping box and I'm going to paint it and redo it, and it will eventually become a book nook, and I'll explain that in just a second. Now what I'm doing to create the look of bricks is I'm taking a sponge applicator and I'm cutting off the slanted edge, so that way I have a rectangle, and this is going to be my sponge essentially that will create the look of bricks, and I'm using the color Mineral by Waverly Chalk Paint. I found this frosted window film at the Dollar Tree and wanted to use it for our window. So what is a book nook? A book nook is basically a piece of decor that you put on your bookshelf in between your books, and it creates the look of a scene either from a famous book or just a scene in general, and basically creates a little piece of theater in your bookshelf. And I thought that was a really cool idea. Now Annie was the one that actually made a book nook in the Dark Aesthetic playlist, and Nancy made a mini living room, and so I'm kind of combining the idea of both of those here. So I have these tiles left over from another project, and I figured these would be perfect for the flooring of my book nook because I'm going to make it look like this is the porch of a home. Now we're going to use a 2022 Dollar Tree calendar, and I thought that this was the perfect picture to put here. So you're probably wondering how this relates to the Irish fairy culture. Well, I decided that I was going to reference a Celtic folklore book that I had, and in it they talk about the Ishi. And that is a collective term for the supernatural fairy race in Ireland. They're generally said to live in fairy mounds and frequent enchanting woodlands. So that is why I used this photo, because it looks like an enchanted woodlands. And the Doinín Meha, I hope I said that right, is considered the good people or gentry, referring to fairy folk. So that is why we have some enchanted woodlands, and our fairy friends have come to visit. Now I'm just going to use this onion grass to create some grass tufts to incorporate the woodland picture into our porch. I want to thank Monica of Up All Night DIY. I will link her channel down below. She was very gracious in asking her husband the pronunciation of these Gaelic words for me. He is an Irishman, and I hope that I did him proud. I wanted it to look like the house was just starting to wake up and they were starting to light their candles or light the lights in their house, and so I wanted a faint orange glow to show in this window, so that's why I'm using this part of the calendar. Now, to bring back in the petunia and the irises, we're going to make miniature versions of these to place within the porch. To make the mini petunias, all I'm doing is adding hot glue to the end of a toothpick, placing it on the petunia, and then rolling it up, just like a little burrito. If you are enjoying this video so far, I hope that you'll consider subscribing and liking this video. I have a lot of fun on my channel with my subscribers, and I always love talking to you guys. If you're new to my channel, I hope that you feel welcome, and if you're returning, I am so thankful that you're here. Now I'm using my hot glue gun to make dewdrops on all of the flowers and greenery in this porch to make it look like our dewdrop fairy has done her job. We have it. I did add some garland that had fairy lights attached to it around the book nook just to create some light, and I did that just by weaving it in through the corners and attaching the battery pack to the back. I would love to know what you think of this. Is this something that you might make for your bookshelf? I'm so thankful you were able to spend some time with me today, and I hope that you enjoyed yourself as much as I did. And until I see you in the next video, take care.